Ooh, perfect timing.
Sounds like the 70s in here.
Yeah, it smells like it too. It's a
Yeah.
cloudy bastard in this studio right now, dude.
Anytime I sit here, I think it reminds me of how hard it is to pick up that 7-10 split. You know, you just got to have a half pack of Pall Malls in your pocket, maybe a warm, old style, and you got to have a good hook.
Yeah.
Some sensible shoes. Abs not required. You don't get to Prince Albert Hall by not bowling a 300. That's all I'm saying.
No,
and if you want to pay your dues, look at the champions. Follow the playbook.
Follow the playbook.
That's it. I'm done.
That's the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, and we appreciate everything you've done for us and continuing to support us.
Hello, and welcome to the Fundamentals of Nonsense. So we like to try and make a living in conversation, for sure. One thing that I absolutely adore is just a ridiculous story. Historically, human beings are, on average, mostly stupid. And it just seems like I'm never disappointed in just bizarre historical stupidity. It's got to be one of my favorite concepts that ever exist. Bizarre journalism itself is something that is just absolutely fascinating to me. The idea of reporting to people just the stupidity of the world over the history of human existence is just, there's a beauty in it.
Oh, for sure. But do you think we're going harder now? I know we're in access to information is different now. And we circulate it, so every story gets magnified. But do you think we go harder in the paint now than they used to? Because there were some dummies back in the olden days too. They were magnificent.
The difference is it's really easy to find stupid people now because they're everywhere.
Yeah,
they have social media. They have they have Facebook.
I just wake up and brush my teeth. I'm like, oh, there he is.
Yeah,
there we go.
I don't have to look very hard.
No, I don't need pants for this exploration. Yeah, I know where he's at.
I want to stress that I don't fabricate any of this information or write any of these stories. They exist already. I just find them hilarious. Sure. And the fact that I am built with my humor bone always at the front of everything that I experience, I find hilarity in things that I never should. It's
that's a good laugh though. The easy ones,
yeah,
they're low.
I love being in a room with people and something is really tense and I find something very hysterical in the moment and I'm trying really hard
to keep the brass ring, right? It's hard.
I love the idea of keeping your lid on when in a moment where it's inappropriate.
Yeah. Those are the only ones that matter though, because the other ones don't come with like a consequence, the low, they're lobbing it up.
Yeah.
Political stuff or whatever, whatever the case is or any direction you want to go. But the ones where you just know, I can't. I'm white knuckling.
Shit, this is funny. Yeah.
Yep, it's coming. It's coming.
It's the best. And
it's changing the trajectory of our family members or relationships. It's coming. I can't stop.
Yeah, I love those too, like tense family dinners or tense like friendship conversations. And when people get so gassed up about shit and you're just like, I got a joke. Just geared up, dude. Just waiting for the moment. It never lands. It never lands in a tense situation, but there's a little bit of self-gratitude.
Yeah, there is.
You executed it.
Listen, somebody can be right at the onset of a cardiac event, and if you sandbagged that time and there was a gem out there, if you left something on the field, you'll never forgive yourself. Regret's the worst.
Yeah, come on, catch your breath.
Yeah.
God, and it was that easy.
Yeah, whoever it is going to grab that left arm and grimace and thank you. They're going to appreciate it if they truly did win it. If not, well, let me be the first to say farewell.
Cancel me now.
Yeah. No, I couldn't help it. It's out of my hands. Pray for me. I'm not strong enough on my own.
My favorite tense moment to be involved in is when somebody's correcting somebody else for doing something super stupid. You know what I mean? And you're like...
You get to
listening.
In.
Yeah, you get to witness somebody correcting something stupid. And
you get to armchair quarterback both parties.
The best part too is if you don't know the context of what's happening.
No, I don't know the context.
I never want to know the context.
Frame of reference.
I don't know if you got a great story.
Facts.
If you got a great story, dude, I don't need context. Just tell me. You know what I mean?
I want to throw me in and let's see.
We experience a lot of this in our field of work. So it's, to me, that's one of the most hilarious concepts of what we do for a living, is that we get to experience a lot of that stupid, crazy, asinine, off the wall conversations that Yeah, you got to back people up too. You got to be
It
like,
is
yeah,
impressive.
don't
You wonder when you
pull,
get
like,
to
pull your pants all the way up before you come out of the bathroom. Everybody can see you.
You don't have to drop them to your ankles at the urinal. You can. It's not conventional. He lives freer than we do, I bet.
I bet you. So
I'd
there's,
wager.
so there's,
Day to day, he wakes up so much happier than I do.
oh my God, dude. We talk a lot about how people who are creative and, sustain themselves in comedy and stuff like that. There's always like an intelligent level that creates like the self-deprecating humor where all that starts. There's a whole other side of that spectrum is blissfully ignorant.
Oh, I'm well on my way.
Blissfully ignorant sounds fantastic. It really does. It sounds great.
No, it's amazing.
Every time I think about blissfully ignorant, I'm like, that must be so fucking nice. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, sure.
to not be like weighed down by how smart you're gonna sound or how effective you're gonna be or anything like
this
that.
isn't
Like,
like some kind of display or presentation of my like proficiency to communicate. I just am going to deliver the message that my heart wants to sing.
yeah,
And if it
it's
does
so
not have any
amazing. It's amazing.
wisdom in it, it's still coming as hard as I can. Yeah, no breaks.
People only function in the moment. That's such a fantastic
great.
ideology.
Great. And if you ever have to do that more than once, either you get lucky and it works out and you're a hero, or you get multiple opportunities and you're like, oh, so most of the time it ends poorly and I better find the humor in it or you don't go again. Or hang them up. Hang up the skates, Wayne. I enjoy the simpler things, sir. Smartest guys I ever met were miserable.
What a wonderful world we live in.
What do we have today, sir?
So I found a few. I dove to Reddit today. There's so much shit on Reddit. One of the funniest stories I've read in a long time is this fucking emu war story. So I know it's not a super credible source, but I pulled this paper off of Wikipedia. I didn't look too much further into this because this one paper was enough.
Yeah.
It says the emu war, also known as the Great Emu War,
Oh,
which
wow.
why would you
Well, there was some
add an adjective
there was
to that?
minor skirmishes before that, and the old, there's always an old man telling the young man he's weak and his work ethic's poor, or the work ethic's poor. He's a humped over bum. So you just had any more. You didn't have the Grady more. You and your generations.
They call it a nuisance wildlife management military operation undertaken in Australia over the later part of 1932 to address public concern over the number of emus said to be destroying crops in the Campion district within the wheat belt of Western Australia.
Wow, tales old as time.
After World War I, a lot of discharged veterans came back to Australia. The Australian government handed out a bunch of land and they wanted to start farming in Western Australia. They were encouraged to increase wheat crop. All of this got challenged. As many as 20,000 emus migrated down to this land. Okay. So they would migrate after breeding season. And then this land that they had cultivated proved to be a better living condition for these emus. So they were like, yo, thanks for growing all this wheat. We're gonna show up and eat.
So these guys are basically throwing up the food plots of wheat and everything else. And we have these 20,000?
Yeah, it says as many as 20,000 emus.
Where did they come from? Tell me again.
It says they regularly migrate after breeding season, heading to the coast from the inland regions. With the cleared land and additional water supplies being made available for livestock by the Western Australian farmers, the emus found that the cultivated lands were good habitat.
They're decent, yeah.
And they began to foray into farm territory.
Well, and how big are these? I want to say they're like 6
They're like 6 foot tall.
Right? Yeah, these are haters.
Yeah, these
big,
are like
baby dinosaurs.
violent birds. They take to the farming land. They consume, spoil all the crops, break the fences down, let more animals in, just make a mess for these people. So these farmers start talking about how worried they are about this massive amount of emus. There's a deputation of ex-soldiers. They were sent to meet with the Minister of Defense.
Oh.
These soldier settlers that had already served in the war are like, hey, we can solve this problem with machine guns.
I still got my finger on the trigger, son.
Yeah,
I'm only 6 months out.
They literally were like, we can solve this problem with machine guns. This was the Lewis gun. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's one of the first actual machine guns.
Really?
That was fabricated during World War I. It was one of the groundbreaking technologies in machine guns.
Yeah, I can spin around in a circle. Oh, sure. Looks like a potato cannon. What?
So they're like, hey, we know these soldier settlers are like, check it out. We shot a bunch of these guns. We can kill a bunch of these emus with these machine guns. They decide they're going to go ask this Minister of Defense for supplies to do this, guns, ammunition, all this stuff. And so they agree, and they're like, all right, cool. We'll give you the resources to do this. You will then trade your agricultural supplies, money, and that'll be the payment for these.
Oh.
I think the government pretty much funded the operation at the time.
So they're running off beer money and ammo.
Pretty much, yeah. So they're like,
that explains,
we will fund, we will give you like a military vehicle, military weapons and ammunition. They give this war on emus. So it's like 3 guys. We'll just go with that. It's 3 guys. They get 2 Lewis guns, 10,000 rounds. They go out and they sight like 50 emus at first. They're too far away to hit them with these Lewis guns. They attempt to herd all these emus together and create an ambush. The birds like split up into small groups, run off in different directions. They prove to be very ineffective at the first chance of trying to take down these emus. One of them is that they get like a bunch of emus set up for an ambush. There's like 1,000 of them that they're pinning down, start shooting, gun jams up, they only get 12.
Crying out loud.
And then they don't find any more birds the whole rest of the day.
You could have killed 12 with a rock and a sharp stick if you had that many.
The emus develop a leader emu. This is the reports from the guys doing this. So a leader emu, 6 foot tall, big ass bird, would stand watch.
Yoked up.
Yeah. And he'd stand watch and he'd look for
no sense of humor. Square big jaw, combat boots on, hate in his eyes.
This emu would stand guard.
Right.
And would call out to the other emus when these guys would start showing up, and it would split the herds up and all this stuff.
The emus are tactically superior, obviously.
They go as far as to mounting a machine gun on top of the SUV that they're in, and the birds would outrun the SUV.
You had to crank start it with a stick hanging out of the radiator back then. So, let's get them. We're topped out. We're going 32. This bird runs 74.
There's so much lack of education that went into this whole operation itself.
I gotta tell you, I appreciate the salesmanship of the guys who
that
peddled this to the government. Listen, we got 2 heaters, 10,000 rounds. We're gonna gather these fowls up. It's gonna be over, and crying out loud, KFC of Sydney was gonna be born. You know?
Yeah. There's a quote here in this. It says, "The machine gunner's dreams of point blank fire into serried masses of emus was soon dissipated. The emu command had evidently ordered guerrilla tactics, and its unwieldy army soon split up into innumerable small units that made use of military equipment uneconomic. A crestfallen field force therefore withdrew from the combat area after about a month."
But I don't know that military strategy was their key.
So that's definitely not the case. They were just wild animals. They withdraw, and Major Meredith, who was, I believe, the guy that was in charge of this at the time, said if we had a military division with a bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. They are like the Zulus, whom even dum-dum bullets could not stop. They just were incapable of killing a bunch of birds.
Had it happened here the same way, we would have dumped billions into military spending to mobilize and weaponize emus. They would have tiny helmets.
Yeah, just armor built from the company that built the mopeds in episode 1.
For sure.
Just
I can picture the pregame the night before too. The head emu. What was his name? Gary. Listen, boys, we got 2 big guns, a couple of dummies. One guy's be careful. He's adequate. He can be a danger. I don't see this as a major threat. These boys do not have what it takes. They're not in it for the long haul. I think we got them.
So they came back out and did a second attempt after they retracted the first time. They request military support again.
Jeez.
The Minister of Defense approves the resumption of military efforts and then goes up into Senate, defends it, explaining why the soldiers were necessary, because it was a giant agricultural threat.
So this is such a mass migration because I'm guessing that the guys that are like the farmers there, these are pretty hard dudes. We kind of joked about earlier. I don't know if it was offline or not, but most deadly animals on Earth, they're all concentrated in the same continent. These guys aren't soft. So I thought, you got a squad of 8 sick birds roll up on me. Maybe I'm ready to go, but 20,000. If you have to deploy and activate the National Guard for the mass influx of flightless birds, just ripping shit up, spinning back kicks, galore in the outback, what do you do?
They redeploy. They find a little degree of success over the first 2 days, kill approximately 40 emus. So the third day proved to be far less successful, and they were killing about 100 emus per week. So they call Meredith back in, this guy that again asked for more resources to take care of this emu problem.
Who's Meredith?
He's the guy that led this.
Okay.
With Meredith commanding soldiers Sergeant S. McMurray and Gunner J. Halloran, armed with 2 Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. That was the first attempt. So they redeploy Meredith back out in the field. They just can't figure out how to kill these fucking emus. They can't do it. And these emus are outsmarting them. Fucking eating all the crop, flipping them off as they're running away because their car's not fast enough to keep up. When they recall him, his report states they had killed 986 emus with 9,860 rounds of ammunition. 10% kill rate. He also claimed another 2,500 wounded birds had eventually died as a result.
No, some of them rolled an ankle.
It keeps continuing. And the farmers are like, we need the military help. We need you guys to come in here and fix this problem. So they keep getting turned down because they failed miserably twice now. So the government's like, dude, we don't know. So they implement a bounty system. You go kill an emu, you bring it in. And more than 57,034 bounties were claimed over a 6-month period in 1934. So word of the emu war had spread by 32, reaching the UK. Conservationists started protesting this shit. They're like...
In 32? I feel like the conventional thought back then was, wipe everything out.
Yeah.
If it walks or crawls, let's shoot it and eat it and hope for the best after that.
Yeah, so after all that, they like put up exclusion fencing and it became a global conservationist deal. So the emu population was protected, farmers were protected, proper fencing was put up, all the shit. But it's a real story. 3 guys with 2 machine guns and 10,000 bullets were wildly outmaneuvered by a flock of emus.
Just spraying and praying into a crowd of 20,000 and probably largely exaggerated the numbers. They killed 3 birds. And like I said, one of them was hit by a car fleeing, one rolled an ankle, one had some conditions,
Yeah, a couple were picked off probably by the dangerous wildlife of Australia.
So, 2 of the 3 had comorbidities. You know what I mean? These guys they needed a 4th guy there that knew how to run the gun and shoot because they were just salesmen.
Something. They needed a faster Jeep.
Every argument they can. We need a faster Jeep. We don't got a faster Jeep. We could go more than 22 miles an hour. I bet you we'd have an increased probability of success.
It makes me so curious.
About the juiced up Jeep.
It was the 20s and 30s. So
no human being is intended to go faster than 25. They'll just turn to jello.
So they ended up making a musical.
Well,
about all this,
as you would,
in 2019.
Sure, it took them a long time to get that musical together, didn't it?
It's an action comedy movie retelling of the events. God, that's hilarious.
Was there maybe some fight scenes or?
There's a part of me that has got to watch that.
Yeah. So maybe this is probably what made those birds I was talking about, the cassowary, so hateful. They read this and they're like, no. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But not in my house. I will kick a Florida man.
Yeah, you're talking about those birds with the dinosaur legs.
Right, it's scary. They have like no sense of humor. They're like, listen, the emus took it easy on everybody. They were dealing with amateurs. It was Bush League.
They just
not
want
going to
happen
here. Yeah. I will kill you where you stand. I run 700 miles an hour. I have dinosaur legs, and I hate you. Why? Because I woke up this morning. That's why.
It's weird how much birds hate human beings.
Yeah, they should. I don't like them either.
Geese?
Oh, don't get me started on geese,
what a weird relationship we have with geese, right? We allow them to be such assholes to us, even though internally,
look at that long neck and that small head. They got good head movement,
They hiss.
Oh yeah, they're.
You ever heard one of those guys hiss?
They got little teeth in there too.
Do they really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, for sure.
Jesus, that's terrifying,
man. Haven't you seen Puss in Boots?
They have teeth.
Oh yeah, for
Puss in Boots settles the argument.
Yeah, I have to go to like well-respected sources,
DreamWorks.
So sure. So the one that does
holy shit, they do have teeth.
Yeah, they have little teeth.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right? It's not okay.
They have
They
have alien mouth.
See? That doesn't look right, does it? That's not the...
Its tongue has teeth. Yeah, god damn.
See? I told you.
Their tongues have teeth? I didn't even know they had teeth.
Well, I didn't know their tongues had teeth.
I guess I never really understood why people were so afraid to get bit by them. Now I do. That's horrifying.
It is. And so... think that if I saw that up close up in my beak, his beak in my beak, it would be fight or flight, man.
Oh my god.
Hopefully I'm the stronger monkey. I don't know. Looking at him, I don't know. What is that? That's something
mouth.
else.
That's too much, dude.
Yeah, that's a chainsaw.
I'm gonna have nightmares.
Yeah. No, what they do, they chase around, they hiss,
There's no way I'm gonna let that thing bite me. I'm gonna punch it.
I want to hit that thing so hard he don't get to that last C in Affleck.
Yeah, just
just crack him. you're a jerk. You sound like a snake. Your neck's long. It's time.
It's so weird how they wiggle their head to you,
Yeah,
too.
right.
It's like,
today's the day.
just videos of like geese attacking people on their way into work, like suit and tie, and like taking their
I'd lose it,
briefcase
man.
and
I'd lose it.
smacking them in the face, biting them, hissing.
Everybody says that, but you get caught flat-footed. I'm gonna look like a fool in the video, but I promise you,
I'm looking for
my head's on a swivel, and this left hand is cocked and firing. I may have cut off jeans and cowboy boots on. I don't have to buy them, but maybe some kind of helmet. I don't know.
I could take that one
Uh-huh.
goose,
Yeah, well, that's.
but there's like 15 of them behind him.
Well, here's the thing, and there's where the whole problem gets here. Do you have
Power by numbers.
Do you have the time for a Hollywood monologue, or do you not? Because usually in real life, you're gonna have to save the speech. If you can get out of it by saying, "Listen, you might all get me, but go Wyatt Earp on him."
You with me.
Yeah, Wyatt Earp on him. Not you. He's bluffing. Nope, we ain't. Like if you got that one, he can kind of coach them down, de-escalate. You're good. If you don't have time, I start my speech, and then 46 geese kick the shit out of me on a sidewalk. Let me tell you something. Oh God!
There's like 40 people at the park too.
Then
that
it's just
day.
man weeping, and I'm running with tattered clothes. Amongst strangers.
Yeah.
Women are crying, children are running. That's the alternative. So you got to really decide: do I have time to give this speech, and is it going to hit home, or am I just going to be 2 words in and get the shit knocked out of me?
Yeah, am I gonna change everybody's perspective on defending yourself against birds?
Right.
Or
Well, if they would
am I gonna
see-
show everybody why you don't fight against birds?
As I'm crying, I've heard, have you seen, they have teeth and it's
bite marks
scary,
all over
and
you.
I'll be, turn that camera up, give me your phone.
Are you live streaming?
Yeah.
You get
Why?
geese teeth marks
My
all over
family's
your bare
shamed.
skin.
Yeah, I can never leave the house again. Yeah. Eventually, I leave the house.
I really wish I
again.
didn't know they had teeth now.
Yeah, I told you, man.
It's gonna make
You know how I
more
knew about that? Puss in Boots. I told you.
Puss in Boots.
That
That's
thing did that like honk, and it was terrifying. I'm like, why does he have teeth in there, baby?
is that real?
Yeah, my daughter's
you're
like, that's how they are, Dad. I'm like, Daddy's stupid. Hold on. I'm going to go look something up. I'll be back. And she was right. Well, what are you going to do, though? Thank God we figured out these thumbs are key.
That's
I'm like, guess what? I
the
can hold
opposable
a
thumb's a big
stick, and
deal.
I just start swinging. I can't, golf, but I can swing a club around like a madman and just
Yeah.
stroke geese all day long. Not even tired. I could
geese
kill
fight.
more geese with a golf club than those guys killed with machine guns.
Do you think like how people get bit by spiders and snakes to get anti-venom? Do you think people who raise geese just get bit by them all the time,
yeah.
so they just
you slowly
they're
get
just
hard
not
to it. Yeah.
phased by it anymore?
Right.
Have you seen those videos of people doing that shit, letting
No.
venomous snakes bite them,
Oh.
like spiders and stuff,
Yeah, no.
so they can build up the antibodies?
Doesn't sound like it's like a medically controlled environment when they do that. To me, I don't know, but
Have you
One
seen
of
Have you seen that video of that guy? That it's like an Indian guy, and he slaps that cobra, like hisses at him, and it goes by him. It's hilarious. You gotta look it up.
He's fine.
Yeah, he smacked that cobra. It was like, oh shit, sorry.
See, I thought
he
it was gonna-
smacked it dizzy.
I'm so ready for like some kind of human victory over, Mother
Something.
Nature. So I was like, what would the cobra do? Since he just iceberg slim backhanded it and walked by, told you twice.
Yeah, he's
Then I'm
like,
like, yeah. See, I was feeling like you're gonna say. Then it, took his wallet. Don't be all boastful. Get your name on the utilities, or live by my rules.
Pay some rent,
Right.
asshole.
You think I toss rats and
You ready for another crazy story?
I am.
You are.
No.
All right. So the next one I have is the Dancing Plague of 1518. The Dancing Plague of 1518, or the Dance Epidemic of 1518, as it's called.
Easy.
It was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Strasbourg, which is modern-day France, in the Holy Roman Empire from July 1518 to September 1518. Somewhere between 50 and 400 people took to dancing for weeks.
Well, they like to
In
get
modern day
down
France.
too.
It all started, a woman steps out and starts kind of loosely dancing,
That's how it always starts.
and it becomes contagious, and all these people start dancing. So
What was the date?
1518. So July 1518 to September 1518.
So it doesn't coincide with like James Brown dropping a sick album or
No,
anything.
it doesn't, dude. I wish that was the case. You had like bards at this time, so people
Yeah,
are playing
I
like
like-
mandolins and
Sure. I like a bard as much as the next guy, but it's not James Brown. Yeah, it's more of a he's gonna tell a story,
yeah, it was an outbreak. They call it an outbreak. Historical documents, including physician notes, cathedral sermons, local and regional chronicles, and even notes issued by the Strasbourg City Council, clear that the victims danced. It is not known why. Historical sources agree that there was an outbreak of dancing after a single woman started dancing. The dancing did not seem to die down. It lasted for such a long time that it even attracted the attention of Strasbourg magistrate and bishop. And some number of doctors ultimately intervened, putting the afflicted in a hospital. There's similar events of this that occurred throughout the medieval age and even the 11th century. This is a time when it's like, this lady cured me with herb. She's a witch. So this was the time of like demonic possession and constricting religious views. At first, they were like, this has to be divine judgment or demonic possession.
You know, and
Strasbourg.
my mind went to James Brown, Soul Train, possibly early MDMA and raves. I don't know.
Yeah, little Michael Jackson beat it.
Thriller was sick.
Yeah.
What?
There was a case in Italy in the same time era. It says a woman was bitten by a tarantula, the venom making her dance convulsively. The only way to cure the bite was to shimmy and to have the right sort of music available, which was accepted remedy by scholars. So, like I said, like 50 to 400 people start dancing. One of the reports I read state that their reaction to this was like, we have to let them do it, right? They're going to have to get it out of their system. So they employ...
Just let the man groove.
So they employ bards and musicians and all these people to come play at this location, and they kind of hurt all these people that are doing all this crazy dancing in the streets, and they're like, we're going to cure it by just letting them do it. Doesn't work. They keep dancing. They dance for months. There's reports of people dying. There's reports that that's fake, that people didn't actually die from this. It seems pretty crazy, right? So there's another side of this story. It makes more sense to me than any of the other things. So
I have a theory I want to see.
they chalk it up to food poisoning, contamination in the food, and like mold and moisture and shit like that. And so they got poisoned by ergots. Ergots are the foundation building block to LSD.
And that would grow on grain or
Yeah, so
some form of grain or wheat.
It's
like, or fermented kind of
commonly on
moisture.
grains. Yeah. It's especially rye.
Okay.
There's theories that the rye bread was contaminated with mold, and it was ergot, and these people were just tripping LSD really hard.
Day started out at everybody's heading to the bakery, get the loaves, head to the house, and it turns into like a fish concert.
Yeah, it's the plot of The Last of Us, but just everybody dances instead. One of the main theories here is that these people just went and tripped their balls off for months, and they just kept eating the bread.
Did they live?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they lived there. So there's accounts of
buckled. Yeah.
There's,
but it wasn't like a mass. It wasn't lethal situation.
no, it wasn't like a drink the Kool-Aid thing.
Like
eat the bread, you'll dance and die.
Yeah.
No, these people. There's a lot of conflicting statements about this, that people died and people lived, and I mean, I would assume that some people probably would have died from dehydration or fatigue in the 1500s from dancing for 2 months.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
July, October. So 3 months. People danced for 3 months. Just kept eating trippy bread.
That's a sick party.
That's a pretty sick party, dude. There's like a lot of conflicting ideas here, and they're like, oh, that can't happen. So they argue that it doesn't seem tenable. It's unlikely that people poisoned by ergot would have danced for days at a time. So there was occurrences of this that were recorded in places that were connected to this location through water sources.
Right. That's where I was going to go with it. So yeah.
So maybe it was water contaminant. It's not
like they dropped some fungus laden or whatever bacteria laden food one time. That's our food source. So as soon as I get done cutting a rug, I'm gonna get a snack and get back at it. But that same snack is like, oh, here we are again.
Yeah, woo! It kind of depends on what was in the water too. I mean, if it was enough to poison the bread with ergot itself, so if it sped up the process.
Water treatment and FDA was a little looser back then.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
They're like, no, I'm sure you'll be fine. Have a sandwich and a glass of water. That'll help.
So the other theory for this is like or stress-induced hysteria or mass stress-induced hysteria. So these places were afflicted at this time with like famine and hunger and all these things in these locations that this was happening in. So one of the
very challenging lives.
One of the medical theories is that they were just all under so much stress that when one person broke, it was a domino.
Is that what's going on?
And
now?
Everybody fucking snapped, right? That's what happened when COVID hit.
All right.
You ever going to Walmart during COVID?
No, I mean barely.
Mass-induced
I don't know.
hysteria.
You're right. Everyone's emotional and angry, and
Nothing
it's
was.
not a ton of information to go off. Fear and like
Food was sold out.
insanity.
Toilet paper was sold out. Mass-induced hysteria was a real thing during COVID.
Oh yeah, but you know the like the chicken wings thing, toilet paper. A lot of odd like desperate manifestations of like fear and isolation, wasn't it?
Well, people thought that like the normal anonymities of every day-to-day life was gonna just dissipate. The chicken wings and toilet paper and shit like that are the things
I
that
love both products.
the little things,
But
right?
I didn't want to short the rest of humanity on them. I just didn't want to like rob chicken wings and toilet paper from my fellow man.
I was always too late to get there. I'm not gonna
Oh.
lie, dude. I was afraid when COVID happened.
So 2 years later, when we have more information, you're like, okay, that seems like
It seemed like a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, but you can't say that then.
No, because then
But
we
the
didn't know
guys
what
who
the
did say
fuck
it
was
then,
going on.
yeah, the guys who did say it then had like that buffalo hat on and are screaming.
Yeah.
And, in the street,
Yeah.
you're like, you know what? I don't even like him on Tuesdays before this.
Yeah.
He's kind of a whole deal. I don't have time for.
Yeah, I definitely never wanted to be that guy.
Everyone's got an agenda.
I have
sure,
I have
about kill
high
me.
risk people in my family.
Sure, about kill me.
And I was like, I don't want to take this shit to them.
I 100% did too. All the high risks. I took it to him unintentionally. It was a beating. Just the reaction to it didn't. Obviously it's easy for me to say now. We know now. But yeah, the first few weeks, you're like, I don't know what this is going to be like.
Yeah. When I finally got COVID too, I was terrified at first.
Were you good?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
was
felt
fine.
like shit.
I mean, it kicked my ass, but I was fine. I didn't lose my smell
Oh, I did.
or my sense of taste.
Put hot sauce and everything.
Yeah.
Had a few, like respiratory wise, and I was a smoker, but I would cough a little bit, 20 minutes
yeah.
a day hard.
At the same
But I
time,
would take a shower and I'm like, well, that's what I'm doing today.
Yeah,
It's like I just had no juice, man. My mojo's gone. I had no.
there were people like left and right dropping out
Mm-hmm.
for COVID. We didn't even know what it was like. At the time that it reached us in the middle of the country, it was like
Yeah.
you can get pink eye.
Oh, yeah.
And then once I got it, it was definitely not something I would want to give to my parents, but not something that I felt like I should have been as afraid of.
No, and I went the other way.
But that's circumstantial. So COVID was always, you can either be really, really bad, mediocre, or you're just a carrier.
I had a rough round of it. I guess it'd be in December and January. I'm like, I'll take the beating, whatever. Like I remember, I ran the fevers and everything, and like the whole time, whatever, I don't know how many variants there are, but the one I remember, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, fair, all right, and I remember elderly people in my family saying they're the same way, and they're like, we're gonna be fine. And he's like, oh, nope,
Yeah.
wish I would have done that vaccine. I'm pretty sure I'm dying.
It wasn't this past New Year's, but the one prior to it was when I got it. I was actually quarantined on New Year's.
That would have been me. That's the
Yeah.
same time. I think I got it right before Christmas, and I was still quarantined through.
Yeah, actually, my first positive test was like 2 days before New Year's, and I spent New Year's quarantined.
Did you think you got it again?
I never tested positive, but I do think I had it again.
Yeah, I got it. Well, I don't know that I got it again. My kids tested positive, and then I felt like a bag of shit.
Yeah,
But it wasn't like it was like cold.
it was
That time in January, December, I was
was,
taking a beating from like the champ. First one was like I got thumped in the schoolyard.
I think I caught one variant early, and then the second time was more aggressive.
That's because you didn't get boosted, bro.
There's a part of me that thinks it was the flu. You know what I mean? But
Everybody had a flu.
But I'm not here to argue test results.
No.
You know what I mean?
Anybody taking that true flu ass kicking at this point, they just shut it. They're like, I probably had something.
Yeah, and the flu's the only thing that ever kicks
What was
my
it?
ass. Like that.
Congestive heart failure. It wasn't flu. It was that or COVID. That's it.
I don't take away from anybody who lost family members or anything like that by any means, but I don't know that. For me, it wasn't that much different than a badass flu. Yeah.
I took a beating, but yeah.
In everybody's experience, especially from what the symptom charts were at the time, is wildly different. Pink eye from COVID seems when that popped up as a symptom, I was like, hold the phone, dude. What are we?
Wash your hands.
I got one more.
People's pillows.
I got one more good story for you. So I asked you earlier if you knew what Waterloo teeth were.
Yeah, I do not. I'd like to.
So,
well, I think
for me, this is the most bizarre story I read today. The evolution of dentures. So in 1815, a battle of Waterloo. took
Okay.
place, and
Okay.
it was where the Napoleon Wars ended. So Napoleon was finally defeated in 1815, was taken captive, lived the last 6 years of his life in captivity on an island. In this battle of 1815, upwards of like 50,000 soldiers died. So at this time, orthodontists were creating full ivory teeth with like piano springs attached to them. It's crazy, dude.
Where did the springs go in?
So they went on either side of your dentures.
They just tension between them?
Yeah, tension springs
Okay,
for your dentures. They went in your mouth. These big springs that attach your dentures together went in your mouth. So they decided they were going to start making dentures out of real teeth.
Well, it's
So
got to be easier.
yeah,
You're not carving ivory down, but I don't like the...
So scavengers and looters and stuff like that, they would go out and collect teeth from all the soldiers who died. They'd string them up in pairs. You know
Like
what I mean? Like
popcorn?
these teeth all go together. These top teeth all go together.
These
These
are
bottom
matching
teeth all
set?
go together. This is a
Yeah.
matching set of teeth. And they would go and they would sell them to orthodontists. And these orthodontists would then carve the plates out of ivory. And they would file down the teeth. They developed ways to fit them into the ivory plates. So they didn't get to pull molars and stuff either. So these dentures were made
Just
like,
the front.
yeah, it was cosmetic. There's actually paintings of them pulling teeth out of the poor people.
Oh, no.
To
I want to see what they look like. I want to see the
they
finished
looked
product.
horrible.
Oh, okay.
They looked horrible. I looked at photos of these dentures they made.
So it wasn't
back
like
then.
you, after you got this set, you strolled out on your balcony.
You did
and
at
the
first.
Poor masses below.
You pulled all the teeth.
Yeah, 600 cheering souls below me, 4 teeth. They all look like rusty drywall screws. And I got these sweet veneers, man. Looks like I'm ready for like Housewives of Atlanta, you know.
Yeah.
Doesn't even look like I can eat with them comfortably.
So real quick, I
white
read
knuckle.
another bullet point in my notes here.
All right.
So in 1815, Battle of Waterloo happened. Napoleon was defeated. He's captured. He goes, they exile him. He lived his last 6 years of his life on an island. Had really high levels of arsenic in his blood and in his hair follicles. They chalk it up to that was kind of occupational hazard of just being a person because glues, things like that, high levels of arsenic
you're drinking
also.
water from lead pipes. And
Yeah, so arsenic was a pretty common thing to ingest at the time. So
they used it for everything, didn't they? I mean, it was
in a lot.
well, that and mercury. I guess mercury was the one I was thinking of too.
Yeah.
With Napoleon, you always see these pictures of him as this little kind of frumpy, dumpy, you know, fat little dork,
kind of
tiny guy. Doesn't look like he has like
posture.
And then I found a neat article where it had a bronze death mask. His face, he looks like a middle linebacker in the NFL. This is not the same portrait the guy I saw. That's Brian Urlacher's skull.
Yeah, he
You know
wasn't.
what I mean? That's Kamaru Usman. That is not Napoleon.
This picture?
Yeah. Okay. There's
Humpty Dumpty
is
looking,
that
dude.
that same man's, I guess, jawline and musculature. He looks like welterweight champion there, and that guy, he looks like me. You know.
So in 1821, he dies.
Yeah.
The doctor that performed his autopsy cut his penis off. This says it was allegedly
legacy.
amputated during an autopsy short after Napoleon's death. Oh my God.
Okay.
Since then, it has been passed through several owners, including A.S.W. Rosenbach, who exhibited it in New York City in 1927. It was purchased by John K. Latimer in 1977 and is still held in his family, who keeps it as a private item. It was described as similar to a piece of leather or shriveled eel. That's like Einstein's brain being stolen, but Napoleon's dick was removed and handed down.
Listen, I mean, I used to collect baseball cards. I don't know if it's like that, but it didn't feel like that. You know.
I just imagine like,
Hey, Dad, can I have your old Nolan Ryan autograph rookie?
I just imagine,
No.
like
got
right
something
now,
better.
there's a guy that's got like,
Lincoln's testicles. I wish Dad collected arrowheads. You know, coins, stamps, something. He's just passing around these old dried up penises, and we don't care.
Just-
you know,
why can't Dad collect something normal?
come on, it's neat, Dad. Just get away from us.
Who cuts dicks off during an autopsy?
I went to a couple, and that was not part of the procedure that I saw.
God
But I
damn,
don't
you've
know
been
if
to
they
an
were
autopsy.
Yeah, but I don't know if they were like
that's.
sugarcoating it for me. You know.
This is Sam and Sonny. This has been the Fundamentals of Nonsense, and thank you.